In 1989, Steve Just and I went to Argentina to look specifically for high crops, but just for anything. And on that first trip down there, we eventually shipped home two 20-foot containers full of tractors and one-cylinder gas engines. I kept out of that first shipment. I have a 1967 730 diesel high crop and a export G high crop that was built in Waterloo but shipped to Argentina. We flew into Buenos Aires and then drove to Tucumán, which is in the tropics, is where they used the high crops. They continued to build 730s in Argentina after they quit building them here. They built them until 1972 in Argentina, and they quit building them here in 1960. Quite a big percentage of them, comparatively, were high crops because they had an area where I think they primarily were growing sugar. You're using them for sugar cane. When we were up in Tucumán, they were still using some of the 730 high crops. And this guy was driving this one along the road, and it was completely wore out. I mean, there wasn't a thing on that wasn't shot. It's amazing that it ran. And the tractors that we imported, most of them had a lot of hours and were very worn. But the front wheel, the whole front end was just going like this, and it was slobbering fuel and oil everywhere. But they were still using it. We found a 110 horsepower K steam engine down there that we did purchase, but then ran into problems exporting it out of the country. So we ended up reselling it in Argentina, but another gentleman did finally get it back to the States. I guess most of the unique things that I saw were John Deere's. I have a picture that Steve took of me tracing the silk screening on the side of an early D that said El Triunfo on the side of the hood instead of John Deere. And I also have some photos of an H John Deere that had Triunfo on the hood. It was a very interesting trip. We saw a lot of interesting cultural things, that were far different than what we were accustomed to here. This is a 1957 620 export tractor. It only went to Mexico. You usually think of export as going to some exotic place, but it didn't specify in the Deere records where they went if they were export. I know this one went to Mexico because that's where it was found. They ran them probably a little longer and harder than they did here in the States. This tractor's obviously had a pretty rough life, but it has some unique features. You usually find those unique features in odd places, and they didn't keep production records on all those, the way things were equipped. But no power steering, but it does have a square wide front and 3-point hydraulics, but no PTO. So however you wanted them, you could order them that way, I guess. Being an export tractor, there's not a lot of export tractors have been brought back to the state. As I said, even the ones that went to Mexico were rode hard and put away wet, and most of them have probably been scrapped, or they're just pure junk now. This is also an all-fuel tractor. You get up into the 620s, they didn't build a lot of all-fuel anymore at that point, and there was 474 620 all-fuels built, so that's a pretty low number.
Want more Classic Tractor Fever? Then visit Classic Tractor Fever on YouTube today. There you can watch exclusive online content as well as videos from our extensive collection. Or visit us on the web at ClassicTractorsTV.com.